All right. We are back. It's been a while. We haven't done an interview in a while because there hasn't been much new to tell. And people are getting out of the houses again and doing things and not wanting to just sit and watch stuff, I feel like. So, but we're into a new season here, the season of progress, I guess. So we wanted to talk to Keenan. Got some good news, some new interesting news for the KC wrestling scene. Keenan Hagerty is going to be the new head coach at William Jewell. So congratulations on that.
Congrats, man.
Thank you, guys.
Well deserved and earned.
Yeah. And
happy to be home.
That's right.
Yes.
You are back home for the first time in a while too. So people are interested in what the situation at William Jewell is going to be like. So we'll start back with what was the process like for you? I guess going through you don't have to tell everything about the interviewing or anything, but the interviewing process to getting hired. What was that experience like for you for a brand new program and a brand new spot?
Well, it was actually my first time interviewing in general, so that was kind of nerve-wracking. But they posted the position in June. I think June 1st was when it was listed, and I had a few people send me a text message of the article, and they're adding men's and women's wrestling, and I was like, no way, like this is happening. Like COVID's hitting, people are like, you see Stanford, you see these things going on, and it's like William Jewell's adding men's and women's wrestling in the Kansas City area. And so, I mean, right away I was super excited. I was pretty thrilled. So put in my application and kind of waited a little while. I didn't know if I had made the cut or not, but I think sometime in July, got in contact with the director of athletics, Tom Eisenhower, and kind of went through a Zoom interview, and then I was on campus the week after that, and then about second or third weekend of July, kind of asked if I would take the position, and said absolutely.
Yeah. So how'd that feel for you? Your first head coaching job, but also just getting a new coaching job, like you said, in the middle of all this kind of craziness. You know what I'm saying? Just like something positive happening. So how'd that feel?
Well, for me, there's a lot of positives. It's not just about the head coaching position, kind of moving up. It was more about adding men's and women's wrestling. So we're growing the sport. It's in the Kansas City area, which I'm biased. Love the area. I think that it's got some of the best wrestlers in the country. So there were a lot of positives. Coming back home to family, both me and my girlfriend Emily, our families are in Blue Springs. So there was a lot of things that we were really excited about. So it wasn't just one in particular, but being a head coach at a new program, I'm pretty thrilled to kind of make it how I see best fit for William Jewell.
Yeah. What do you think? Sorry, I don't know if Jesse had something there, but I was going to say, what are you most excited about, I guess, in starting a brand new program? Obviously, men's, women's, everything. But what's the most exciting aspect of that to you as a coach? Not just like, what when you're going to get to work. What part of that excites you the most?
I think just doing all of it, as far as like the recruiting, building a staff, and learning along the way, learning a new college. I mean, that's exciting, but it's somewhat scary at the same time. It's anybody that's going through change, it's a little bit nerve-wracking, but I think at least for most people. But I'm excited about that, and then just making it to what I think is best.
Kind of creating a vision for it, basically from scratch.
Right.
What's the biggest challenge you think for starting out?
Continue on that question.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was also, I was going to say, I'm actually really excited about the women's program too. Being back in freestyle.
Yeah.
Being at Maryville and the collegiate level for the last 9 years, it was all folk style. we had some guys that trained in the summers for freestyle and a little bit of Greco, but with the women's program, they'll be wrestling freestyle full time, and I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah. Have you thought about what that's going to look like as far as, I know there's a lot to figure out, but having a men's team and a women's team and overseeing them both, like just from like a coaching aspect, have you thought at all about what that would be like? You guys going to have, this time's dedicated for women or whatever? What are you going to do?
There'll have to be some more organization to it. I mean, and then once the two programs are kind of established, we'll start adding some additional staff. But to start, I mean, I'll have my hands full. There's no doubt about it. But I knew that going into it. And so I'll have to kind of stretch myself a little bit, but I also want to do a good job with what I'm doing. So I'm not going to try and overwhelm myself and do everything all at once year one. I'm going to try and basically put a few things I really believe are important in place to start and grow from there.
Yeah. I guess one of the things that I know a lot of people were interested in, with a brand new program and at William Jewell, what was kind of like the vision they set out to you? Like what's the long-term vision, I guess, as far as starting from brand new to building over a few years? What's the university's vision as far as like a wrestling room, scholarships, everything like that? What did they lay out for you?
Well, William Jewell is definitely an academically strong college. They, it takes a specific student athlete to go to school there. It's got to be a right fit. But they want success, and they don't want to wait too long on it. I mean, they're putting in some efforts into the athletics to build that program and turn it around a little bit. And I think they're doing some great things. I mean, with women's becoming an emerging sport, they saw an opportunity, and that shows that they're on top of it. And I think that's, for them doing their homework, it's just as exciting for me because I think that they're in it as much as I am.
Yeah. What do they have in mind for the facilities and everything? As far as I know, you said they got a spot in mind for when wrestling does start, and then adding from there probably at some point.
So they're kind of in a transition. Like I said, they're going to be adding a new athletic facility, I think, starting next fall. But in the meantime, I mean, wrestling isn't going to start until next fall, so fall of 21. Mm-hmm. But in the meantime, they're converting a dance room that is actually pretty nice for a wrestling room. It's got a high ceiling right now. Be maybe a little bit tight as we begin to grow, but eventually, once that new facility is done, they'll expand it and add another mat or so. So it looks like a mat in a couple sections right now. Not the biggest room, but it'll definitely work. So
Well, you came from Maryville, which I know you were kind of there at the beginning of that transition whenever they came over, from UNO. So you guys, what did you learn from that experience as far as building up a program, that's new at a university that you think can translate here at William Jewell?
Yeah, that's going to be important for me to kind of remember what that process was like. It wasn't always easy, and it wasn't always fun, but the growth is part of the satisfaction. The first year we were at Maryville, we didn't win a duel, and we had 3 national qualifiers, but you got to have 10 guys.
Yeah,
and we didn't win a duel, so that was tough. Coming from a pretty dominant school in the state of Missouri with Blue Springs, that I was kind of lucky to be a part of that program and I guess used to winning. And that first year at Maryville was a little bit of an eye opener, but we got better pretty quick. We had good leadership. We had good recruits coming in. We had a lot of things going in the right direction. So, but the growing part, I'm definitely gonna have to rely on those lessons that I learned along the way.
Yeah. Shoot, what was I gonna say? Let me think for a second. See, we're out of the routine of asking questions too.
It's COVID season. We gotta
we haven't
get back into shape. We gotta get back into shape.
Even with the podcast.
Yeah, we're not pros right now. Oh, I remember I was gonna ask. So, having a whole year to prepare, before you guys actually even get to wrestling, that's pretty awesome. But it's also like, so if you're prioritizing what you as a coach want to work on, the first few most important things, how are you going to attack this? Because like you said, you get to go out and go recruiting and everything, but you're recruiting for a year away, well, right now it makes sense that'd be where you're recruiting. But what's the priorities, I guess, for how you kind of handle challenges over the course of this year? What are the most important things?
I mean, that's a great question. And I'm probably going to be learning along the way. Probably don't have, everything, all my P's and Q's in order as far as like, I know I need to be doing this, this, and this. I've got a pretty good idea that, like I need to learn William Jewell College. I need to learn the way they operate. I'm bought in. I'm here, but I also need to learn the system and make sure that I'm doing things the way they should be doing. Need to build a community around me and around the college. I think if I want it to be something special, I know that it's not just going to take just me. I need a group of people. I need a community built on solid relationships and trust and things like that. Fundraising is going to be huge. And then definitely recruiting, priority number one. I got to get some wrestlers on campus.
Yeah. How do you think, I guess you're going to be recruiting, are you going to be trying to recruit like a full team? This is a legit, I don't know the answers to this question because this is from your college experience. You were trying to recruit like a full, do you have like a number? I guess you have like 10 guys. I'm trying to recruit 10 guys for 1 year. You're trying to recruit. How did they do it at Maryville when you guys were starting from scratch, I guess?
Well, I guess the biggest difference that I can point out from starting at Maryville and starting now at William Jewell is another program, or about half a program or a third of the program from UNO came down.
Yeah.
So there was a head start with that.
Yeah.
With a head coach that had been, coaching for 42 years already and things like that. And he had some assistants. He had seniors who had wrestled for him, who graduated and came down to be assistant coaches. So that was kind of a jump start for the Maryville program. For me, I've got to make up for that kind of time. I've got to put the rubber to the road and get to work.
Do you try to recruit like I said, like 10 kids, 15 kids the first year, you think, or how does that work?
Yeah, you're in the ballpark. I mean, I would like to be able to fill a roster, within year one. I don't want to be forfeiting a whole lot of weight classes. I mean, that's how you lose duels pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But I also would like to start getting, guys to the national tournament and score some points there. So I want to make sure that we've got quality men and women at William Jewell.
Jesse, you got any thoughts, any questions you want to ask?
Yeah, I think, I think your goal there with the recruiting and filling the lineup is great, because I listened to the Colat podcast and he was talking about even his first year at Campbell, which that program had been going, they were still giving up like 5 forfeits. So I think that's a great goal, because if you fill it, you can win some duels anyway. But I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. And I just wanted you to give us, since we've talked about recruiting, give us your pitch, because, what are you going to, what's going to be your angle with these young guys that, this is a new team. You're building a tradition. You're not picking up and carrying on one that's already been going. So I just kind of wanted your pitch a little bit and how you're going to go at these guys, because I think it's exciting for us. But as a kid, you've been recruited, I've been recruited. Sometimes looking at a new program is tough. So I just
haven't been recruited, guys.
Sorry. Give you kind of
You've
give
been
you kind of
recruited
an
for other
idea.
things in life.
Give you kind of an idea how I look at it right now is
Yeah, absolutely.
Kansas City is adding a Division II wrestling program, and for both men's and women's, they're creating an opportunity, and one of the best wrestling cities I believe that there is. So, for me, I want to keep those men and women in the area, right? I want to give them an opportunity, and their family and their fans and friends an opportunity to come watch them continue to compete and get their education at a very sustained college. So that's where I'm going to start. I'm going to start here. I would be a little bit out of my mind to go somewhere way far away to begin when we've got great selection right here. So I want to provide opportunity for the student athletes that are around the area. And then as we continue to grow, I'm going to branch out. And I'm not saying that I won't have out-of-state wrestlers within year one, but I want to give opportunity to those student athletes around the area.
That's a good pitching point when I'm thinking about it from like the standpoint of a parent, because I know that, well, I mean, Jesse, you're an example, you went across the country and your parents didn't get to watch you much in college, but even a lot of the kids from KC who go different places, their parents have to travel really far, or several hours to go see them compete somewhere if they want to go watch. So you're selling the parents on the program too. So it is a good thought to say, hey, you guys can still see each other. You can be at those dual meets. You can be around here and watch your kid wrestle. It's a good idea.
A lot of times parents still involved in the decision at that age too. So, I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of time, and with William Jewell, it's a pretty penny to go to school. And so they may be involved with paying for the education. So I got to make sure that they're happy with the decision as well. So.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jesse.
I think that's great because, when we talked to your athletic director, that was his big vision of it too. And I just think, that's a great way to spin it, because you can use, I feel like you can really use those kids to help recruit each other too. Because how it is now, there's so many of them on the national team and they're friends with each other almost more than they are with friends at their own high school sometimes. So
right.
I think that's
what makes
huge.
I think that's what makes the Kansas City area special. And really the state of Missouri is a pretty tight-knit wrestling community. But Kansas City has kind of always been, guys training together, they're battling together in the off season. So I appreciate that. And that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is I didn't want to leave this behind because it is just as big of a deal that, it's added a men's and women's program. And like you said, women's wrestling is like a real emerging sport in general. So it's kind of an interesting angle that you're going to get to approach here, which is I feel like the opportunity for success might be pretty quick with the women's wrestling team, because Kansas City does have a pretty solid wrestling scene. Missouri's been a little bit at the forefront of wrestling for girls and stuff, and that's going to be a good opportunity for you, I feel like. So
I'm pretty pumped. I'm pretty pumped about that.
And it's a whole new challenge of a different, group of people to recruit and meet and talk to. It's interesting right now. So
it is. It's a big challenge for me. And I mean, I won't shy away from that. I've never recruited a woman, but I'm going to learn. I'll get better. And we'll do it together. So I've got my work cut out for me, but that's never stopped me before.
No, you're the man, dude. You've been working even when people haven't. Some people are still working right now, even whenever we're all not out there, in public. So just say that. But let's talk about something personal. Let's talk about something positive here. I think that I don't want to say we're getting to a new time frame necessarily in the scheme of this year, but we kind of are. People are starting to get back towards that going to school time, right? We're going to school. People are maybe starting to phase back into doing sports, what's something positive us as wrestling coaches can look forward to a few months from now? Because I feel like a lot of people have a lot of like worry or negative thoughts, I guess, about where's wrestling going, but we're all positive people here. So let's spin it for the bright side. Where are we going to be with wrestling in a few months, you guys think?
Well, I'm gonna throw some Coach Denny knowledge on you, and this is something that I've kind of been hanging on to, and it's the 3 T's. We're gonna be tested. It's temporary. Everything is temporary. We got to learn to trust, right? So right now, this phase that we're in, it's temporary. It will end at some point. We may not see the light at the end of the tunnel right now, but just like that interview process, it seemed pretty long for me, even though in the grand scheme of things, it was only like 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
But it's temporary, and we'll get through it. And for me, this is just my opinion. I think it's a perfect opportunity to have wrestling as a spring sport. I think that they've wanted to try it for a long time. I think that it's going to give us a chance to find out if it works for our sport. And it'll give us a chance to compete. So if we start in the fall, and again, this is just my opinion, if we start in the fall and we had to stop for some reason, that concerns me more than if we were to just start in the spring. So
it will be interesting to see if some states have already decided they're going, January to March or something like that.
That was Colorado. Colorado put that through. Somebody sent that through today. They're going from January to March. And honestly, I don't know how you guys feel, but I was like, I kind of like that even as a coach. You don't have to worry about Thanksgiving and Christmas break with your kids. So
every wrestler might have just done a fist pump.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it could be interesting, too, if different states kind of have different schedules, because
right.
In the past for wrestling, it's been obviously this is folk style season. Everyone starts freestyle here. Then there's the national tournaments here. So it'd be interesting what the little ripple effects of people changing the season and just how people train will be, because it's kind of there's been training cycles. It could be different now. It's interesting.
This is a time where everybody's being challenged. I mean, whether it be mentally, physically, everyone's being challenged in some way. And what I think will be unique is to see how all athletes come through it, how well they prepared when they didn't know what's going on, how well they stayed sharp. Our Olympics is next year. I mean, how are they going to train? Do they take some time off now? I mean, we're talking about maybe a senior level event here in the fall. All of that's new. All of that, none of that was prepared for, but they've got to adjust. And I mean, wrestlers, they tend to watch the highest level. I think probably most athletes watch the highest level of their sport. And so they're studying the best guys, and they're watching film as flow wrestling, track wrestling, anybody that's putting out content. Wrestlers, men and women, are studying right now. I would think so, because it's what we have to do. Right. We're not in school. We can go outside, exercise. Some clubs are opening back up, but what better time to watch film than now? So
this is all kind of an experimental time for coaches and for athletes. So
absolutely.
We may not all get it right this time around, but there is going to be something learned from this, so.
Absolutely. You're exactly right.
But I will say, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. All right. So just stay ready, everybody. Who knows what's happening?
Let that be a lesson for today, Coach Evans.
Yeah. You guys got anything else here? We had to knock the rust off for the old Wrestling Outlaws podcast, but we had some good things to talk about, some good news. So anything else anyone wants to share?
I think that's good.
I just want to say thank you guys, and I'm excited to be back home.
We're excited.
Whitson maybe don't stay down there too long.
Yeah.
But I want to say thank
Back
you
home.
and go Cardinals.
There you go.
Let's go.
I like
There
it.
you go.
Let's go.
All right, boys.